Hello viewers and welcome back to the M.O.C Spotlight, where we'll be taking apart what you build. On today's episode we will continue and conclude the review for The Droids by deaddude. Now that we've taken a look at the appearance of all these M.O.Cs, it is time we moved on to the build and the concept. And as I stated in the previous episode, the points will come at the very end of the review. So without a moment's haste, let's look at the build of these M.O.Cs, starting with the basic droid soldier. Alright, taking a look at the build, let's just start from the ground up. So, feet. Interesting choice for the feet. If we look up at these legs, you'll see that the way they're built is that deaddude used two connector pieces and attached them using this single axle. Now, that is quite highly suspect, because that could probably cause breakage in this bottom connector piece, but it does allow for some sweet articulation here in the knees, which you wouldn't really expect for something that looks so stubby. Moving up a bit further, we can take a look at how the legs are connected to this very tiny waist. You have these old style ball pieces, you know, the kinds that are kinda loose sometimes. They can pop off like that. That's not so much a flaw in the design of the droid, it's really just a flaw in the mold, so I won't really acknowledge that as a con in the build. Moving up, fairly solid chest, or torso. Very nice, well put together. I like how the neck is put together up here. It uses the same idea as it does on the legs over here, where you just have this connector piece and the axle. Again, it kind of worries me. This connector piece isn't really supposed to be used this way. You'll never see that used that way in a Lego set, but it's okay. Back on the subject of posability, man, this M.O.C is very posable. Has many points of articulation. Of course, we already pointed out the knees, and I accidentally popped that off again. The waist swivels. You have the shoulders moving, and the hands, and the neck moving up and down, and the head moving in the head moving in multiple directions. The only thing that isn't articulated are his elbows, but that's because of the piece that he used here. I'm not sure what he could have used instead to fix that, but it's okay. But there is a lot of articulation in this mini M.O.C, and I really enjoy that. Overall, I've found the droid build to be very solid, and it seems as though it shares similar aspects as the builds of the other droids, such as the torso build and the articulation everywhere aside from the elbows, making all the droids look like they're trying to do the robot. The only droid build with articulation at the elbows is the Symbiote V2, because it has a completely custom build in the arms. That said, the articulation in all of these M.O.Cs is kept pretty consistent. I just think that's noteworthy because of how small they all are. Don't underestimate the midgets. They also all appear to be quite sturdy, despite some odd proportioning in areas such as the waist, where it is very tiny, and the legs that appear to be quite spindly. These M.O.Cs appear to hold themselves up quite well, generally speaking, because I think that maybe the Tetraquad could have some problems standing up with that interesting leg build. Maybe the droid Symbiote V1 has some trouble holding himself up with all that crap that he has on his back. I could see this one probably toppling over. But again, generally speaking, these M.O.Cs all appear to be fairly solid, and they have some pretty neat builds. I think what really helps is the build of the legs on some of the bigger ones. They're big, clunky, and they seem to support the rest of the M.O.C successfully. I don't think there's really all that much else I can comment on when it comes to the build, so now I'm gonna move on. Now, I want to take a look at other M.O.Cs in the Droid Universe, starting with the droid's mortal enemy, the Borg. Interesting choices of names, don't you think? Now, just like the droids, there is a basic form of the Borg, accompanied by several different variants, but deaddude also uploaded instructions for the basic Borg, so I managed to build one, and I'm gonna look at that first. Alright, it's my hands again. Take a look at this. It is the Borg. It is small, it is black and gray, and it has orange eyes, and it looks ferocious. Just look at these claws. Ferocious. Oh no. See, that's already our first problem with the Borgs, is that they appear very solid, but because of the construction of the body, I find that this kind of falls apart. Looks like its face just got split in half. That's a kind of a problem. Now back to what I was getting to earlier. Shredder claws. Yes, this is a very interesting build for the forearms, aka claws, and it is exclusive to this Borg. The Borg itself is quite tiny, as you can see. Also fits in the palm of my hand, but I'm not gonna crush it, so I just give you a good look of what it looks like all around. In fact, I will compare it to the basic droid soldier in size. As you can see, very, very tiny. Very interesting differences between the droid and the Borg. I actually like how the Borg's lower legs have more black. The Borg is really cool, just flimsy. That's my biggest complaint about it. Round 1. Fight!
Unlike all the different droid variants, all the types of Borgs are very distinct from one another in appearance. Just take a look at this Borg Elite, sporting the same leg build as the Tetraquad, and looking very different from the basic Borg. And I'm inclined to say that it looks a lot cooler. It seems to be a bit more articulated, and it has a brand new color scheme, replacing black with silver and those trans orange eyes with trans dark blue eyes. The next Borg variant is the Borg Hulker, and you can tell right off the bat where it got its name. Just look at how big and masculine this is. It is also very different from the other Borg variants, only sharing the same head as the Borg Elite. And, well, the left hand, I guess, or claw, I guess. It's got a solid and consistent bulky look to it, and I really like how it looks. My only gripe with this would probably have to be the feet, because there isn't all that much silver in this Borg. And finally, the last addition to the Borg army, which just so happens to be deaddude's last addition to the Droid Universe in general, the Borg S2 Rapid. Also very different from the other Borgs. This M.O.C was made to look sleek and ready for speed, and he's got a sleek new head design to show it. From looking at this, I think it's safe to say that all of the Borgs seem to have very interesting builds. The Borg Rapid here has a compact looking torso, and of all of these M.O.Cs, it appears to have the most unique leg design. Man, there is a lot of silver in these M.O.Cs. Anyway, I really like the appearance of the Borg Rapid. As interesting as those legs look, I'm not quite sure how well they hold up. They look a little flimsy, but they do help the overall appearance of a speedster, I guess. And finally, one more addition to the Droid Universe that I'd like to go over. It's not a droid, it's not a Borg, it is the Droid Steed, which is some kind of rocky-headed creature that the droids ride on. Okay, no, I'm not really gonna comment on this all too much. It looks cool. All I really wanted to do was acknowledge it. Now let's talk about concepts. Now I've already briefly touched up on the ideas behind all of these M.O.Cs. Really, the big idea of just taking this small creation and then creating different versions of the M.O.C and expanding it into such a small universe filled with different kinds of the same M.O.C. It's a very unique idea, and it's quite neat how deaddude has done this with his M.O.Cs. You can look at all of these M.O.Cs and you can tell that they are all supposed to be from the same series or some sort. And you don't have to just look at them, you can actually build your own droid and just make your own variant of it. Just take it into your own hands and expand on the Droid Universe in your own way. I believe that is what deaddude intended with his cool creations. And if not, well, it's kind of been done already, as you can see. And that is why the droid is one of my personal favorite M.O.Cs. It kind of shows that anybody can really do what deaddude did. Take a small idea and expand on it little by little, and I think that is a very brilliant concept. With all this said, let's rack up the final scores. Appearance, a 4 out of 5. And I feel like there might be just a little too much gray and silver. Just thought it'd be nice to see some more colors. The build, 4.5. They're small, sturdy, Very well articulated, but again, some small things that I'm not all too sure about. And concept 5. I don't think any further explanation is required. The Droyd Universe receives a final score of 13.5 out of 15. You did good with these, Dead Dude, and I hope to see more out of you, maybe, sometime. Thank you all for watching. This is Van, and this has been the M.O.C Spotlight.